Time is heating up at Global Voice Broadcasting. Hot music, hot talk, and hot topics. All day, every day, 24/7. You don't want to miss a minute on Global Voice Broadcasting.
I highly recommend Ms. Hicks. Her books, her CDs are encouraging.
I bought her book, A Hill to Climb. She's a very inspirational speaker.
And I look forward to one day being able to work with her.
Your power lies within you. Let it loose.
Aspiration, inspiration, motivation, edification, determination. These are the keys of life success, brought to you by none other than award-winning author, motivational lecturer, business consultant, and much more as she gets you aimed to your purpose. And now, ladies and gentlemen, young and elder, from Hollywood to the entire world, here is your host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, Louise Hicks, along with her co-host, yours truly, Kenan Wesley Mason.
Hello, world. Welcome to Aim to Purpose, the radio show, and thank you all for joining us again. Hope you had a wonderful weekend and hope it was exciting, and especially after coming back from that Labor Day holiday and weekend. But we have a great show for you today. We have a special guest out of Pennsylvania that we're having with us today. His name is Les Schmidt, and we are excited because we're going to be talking to you about how to have and live your most amazing life. We know everybody wants to live with joy, peace, happiness, prosperity, live in abundance. And we're going to talk about that. Right, Ken? We're going to have a great show today.
Yes, we are. And I want to say hello to everybody or as my mom would say, hello world, to everyone around the world as we take people home here in the afternoon here on this side of the world. On the other side of the world, we may be taking people to work. So we want to thank all of you for tuning in. And I just want to apologize to everyone for listening, that listened and watched the broadcast last week, as we did have some technical difficulty. And we want to definitely bring you the best that we can bring you every single week. So we're trying our best to bring you the best radio we can through Global Voice Broadcasting. And so we're trying to clean up all of our, like I said, technical difficulties so we can bring you the best show that we can every single week. And this week will be one of those weeks, and all the weeks thereafter. So, so it just feels good being here and with GVB, all the people that you don't get to see that work really hard with us to make sure that you get the best broadcast possible. So,
and that is our intent.
Yes.
Especially since we have such a huge global audience, because that's what it's all about, bringing the masses together to live in what I call our Aim to Purpose cycle. And when someone says, what is Aim to Purpose? My response is always with a question. How would you like to wake up every morning knowing who you are, loving yourself and others, living in joy, peace, happiness, and prosperity? That is what we are all about, because we want to assist you and help you in catapulting you to your highest calling, and to make sure you live that successful life in abundance, because we feel that that's what everybody should be living. And if you know who you are, there's no reason that you will not be able to live that successful, joyous, happy life, even though you will have challenges. And we're going to talk about some of that. And why don't we introduce our special guest today, Mr. Les Schmidt, and then Ken is going to share with you a little bit about Les, and then we're going to bring Les on and just start our conversation. And be sure that you can know that you can also call in, chime in with us. We are live. The number is 323-522-5482. Again, 323-522-5482 to call in and comment, questions, and we're going to go ahead and introduce our special guest.
And the introduction. Les Schmidt is a master at empowering men and women to achieve their highest potential and live their dreams by inspiring them to take action. In his book, Dark Night of the Soul, Les discovered his one obsession: to learn the mysteries of the universe. I like that. The study of human potential. I like that. And how to use the laws that make the universe function to live our dream life. Les followed his dad's path into auto repair when he started as a helper in a large auto body shop in Philadelphia at the age of 17. He quickly transitioned into head mechanic and went on to serve as a mechanic in Ford and Chevrolet dealerships until he launched Schmidt Auto repairs at the age of 25. Les sold this business after 8 years to pursue other ventures. When one of these ventures turned into a personal disaster and Les hit rock bottom, he made a commitment to a life of excellence and to make a contribution to this ever-evolving world. For 26 years, Les served as a body shop manager and business builder in automotive dealerships and earned respect as one of the top experts in the industry. He retired at the end of 2011 to serve as an auto repair expert consultant and to bring his larger vision to the world through the company he founded in 2003 called Sage Script Media. Les is the author of 3 books, host of a teleseminar series, a life coach. He's also a business consultant and inspiring speaker. And his quote, "My mission is to raise the consciousness on planet Earth, to bring harmony and peace through the collaboration of inspired individuals. We can make a difference together." So with that said, and without further ado, we are delighted to bring on Aim to Purpose, the radio show, the one and the only Les Schmidt. Les, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, Ken and hi, Louise.
Hi, Les.
Hey.
How are you? What an awesome introduction. My, you've done so many things. You retired like I did, but we're really not retired, though, right?
Never.
Because we have
Never.
such a passion for what we're doing now until we won't retire.
Well, we're doing what we really came here to do now, Louise.
Yes, we are. I agree wholeheartedly with that. And we just want to jump right in here and just start talking about a lot of the things that you're doing. And I like the fact that you started this business, you said, in 2003. But prior to that, a disaster caused you to just start realizing that something was wrong. So let's give us a little bit about your background and what happened.
Well, Louise, I captured it all in my memoir, The Truth, Finding Your Own Truth, which I wrote as a discovery process to figure out how I had come from a wonderful, loving family, a great childhood, a happy childhood. I was raised in a faith-healing church. It was a little bit radical, but that, at some point I let go of that and I went out to pursue money. It seemed like money was the solution, I could pull everything together and, make everybody happy, including myself. It started out as my auto repair business, as Ken mentioned earlier. And after 8 years or so, I was burned out.
Right.
My dream had become my nightmare. And, and we attract things to us through our thoughts and our emotions and our actions, as both of you well know, and I think your audience is pretty familiar with that.
Oh,
Yeah.
And so I
yes.
attracted into my life someone who made me an offer to make a lot of money fast. And of course, that got me into trouble. One of the things that I've learned and that I teach is to have mentors in your life who are living the kind of life that you want to live, who have the qualities that you want to have.
That
Well,
is so important. You are so right
yeah.
about that.
Well, I followed someone who took me, led me down a path. It's amazing how you can make a turn, make a decision, and then you make another one. And the next thing you know, it's like, wow, how did I get to here?
Right.
And so I found myself in prison and facing a lot of federal time. And
What happened that led you down this path? I know you said it had to do with a lot of money, but what, and I believe me, I've talked about this on this show, where greed can really get us into trouble. But what happened that caused you to land in prison, that you said you got with the wrong people and got off the right path? And
yeah, well, this fellow came into my auto repair business. He wanted to talk to me in private. He was actually one of my customers. And he laid out, he asked me what I wanted in life, questions I had never even thought about before, what did I believe in? And had my head spinning. And then he described a way to make fast money, and it involved drugs. Well, and I didn't even know the names of the drug. He asked me what drugs I knew the names of. Well, the next thing you know, I decided to take on this project. He was talking huge amounts of money. I was a methamphetamine manufacturer back in the early 70s, when that was just really becoming the thing.
Yes.
oh yes, and believe me, I know something about that because of my situation with my son, the one that was diagnosed with cancer at 14. That's what he got into after he wasn't able to cope with the depression and
Yeah.
the drugs that he was taking in his system as a result of the cancer. And it just kind of escalated him into a big, huge depression and not being cleaned out from the drugs. So I'm kind of familiar with methamphetamine, but you said you were manufacturing the drug, and that's how it landed in prison?
Yeah, and it's a long story. I
Right.
really captured in my book, which, by the way, my book is being reviewed now by movie producers.
Great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're working up what they call a log line and what's the other term where you turn it into
Oh, a treatment?
a treatment.
Yes,
Yeah,
I had the same situation. I've done that too and got mine done. So that's wonderful. Congratulations on that, because these kind of stories need to be told, and it's in the book. What is the title of the book again?
The book is The Truth, Finding Your Own Truth. And the reason for that title was because the faith healing church that I was raised in, which had a very big influence on me, they called it The Truth. That wasn't the name of it. The name was Faith Tabernacle, but they labeled it, the pastors labeled it The Truth, because they sold it as being the only truth.
As most churches do.
as they most of them do, exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a story. We're gonna have a talk about that too. Our topic today, by the way, we have global, and I know you wanted to. We all strive to get these mass audiences globally, and our topic today is how to live your most amazing life. And after going through those types of challenges and so forth that you went through, then you decided that was not the life. And by the way, how long were you in prison? I don't want to give away the book, but just curious about that.
I spent a total of 6 years in 5 federal prisons and about a dozen county jails. It's a long story,
Right.
as you know. But I wasn't willing to give up my partner when I was indicted and eventually pled guilty. They wanted him real bad, So they dragged me around, you
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
Of course.
It's a pretty bizarre story because I could write a book on just what happened while I was in the prison system.
Oh, yes, I can imagine. But the book, once the story is on the screen and all of that, I mean, it's a story to be told. So listeners and audience, get the book because it's something to help inspire others not to go down that path, and that's a good thing. And
And money can definitely be a big influence for people to go down a certain road, whether it be positive or negative.
That's right, Ken. And, you know, money's such a big issue. It's always been a big issue in my life. That's a big part of my story. And it is for so many people that I talk to every day. It's a huge issue. And, yeah, it can turn our head. You know, so I made a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's amazingly. So I found myself in prison, broke. But to answer your earlier question, Louise, what turned it around for me? I found myself actually a second time around. I was in the roundhouse. That's the Philadelphia County Jail, and I got thrown into this dark, cold cell, and I'm sitting on this bunk in the dark, and I began to reflect, and on the seriousness of what I was dealing with, and it came through to me about my daughters. I have 7 daughters, and for the first time, I put away all the excuses, this is what I was really trying to do, and was able to really look at myself, you know, sort of in the mirror, so to speak, thinking about what my decisions and actions how they had impacted my 7 daughters. I would not be able to fulfill the promises I had made to them. Now their dad was in the prison system for a second time, facing some really serious charges. And that's when I made a vow to become a role model for my daughters, become my personal best, and to make a contribution to the world. And that's one of my principles, is to have a reason, a mission, or a purpose that's bigger than yourself, that's outside of yourself.
Right. Yeah, and I can identify with that, and my mom can too, because I'm a new father of a daughter, and I've made a vow to do the same, to set
It changes your life, doesn't it, Kenan?
Oh, absolutely, and it makes you want to do more, or it makes you want to be better, and it makes you want to be the best, not only for yourself but for your children as well. So I completely understand. And by the way, it's good to be on the radio with you again. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
for all the the listeners, Les and I shared the airwaves a couple of years ago on another internet radio broadcast, and we had a real good time, and things just resonated. So I really have a lot of respect for Les as a person, and for what he's doing currently as he's here on the air with us on Aim to Purpose, the radio show. So thank you, sir.
No, thank you. It's so good to be with you again, Kenan.
Thank you.
Yes, it is. And I know you and I have a little history there too, because I participated in one of your seminars, and they are awesome because they are giving people hope to have a better life and to live a better life and not struggle, to have freedom in their life. And I know you talk a lot about that, and we've shared conversations about that. Why people struggle? Why do you? What is your assessment of that? Because I know you live this life, and you know you wanted to make the best life for your children, and now yourself as well, your family, your wife. So share a little bit with us how and why people struggle.
A big thing for me is I look at the programming and the conditioning, the negative and limiting programming and conditioning that we've all been subject to in our own individual ways. And it happens from from our parents who don't know any better. They're just repeating stuff that they were taught through the education system and society in general. There's just such a negative, limited, and so most people are operating out of fear.
Yes.
They're afraid to make a mistake. We're taught to be good little boys and girls, and not to mess up. And one of my principles, what I did is after I wrote my memoir, which I first started as a discovery process, and then I kept getting messages to share that story with the world. And the biggest message I think in my story is that no matter how badly you go wrong, you can straighten it out. You can learn from it, become your personal best, and create the life that you choose, no matter how, because I think I set the bar pretty bad on how badly you can screw your life up.
But the good news is that all of us can make it better. What we call mistakes or errors, life lessons, or errors, we learn from them and make them better. Sometimes the errors are repeated, but you always learn something. And talking about the fear factor, as children, many times we are afraid to make errors and mistakes because we're afraid of what either the consequences or how we're going to be perceived in the future. And it can create an impact as we get older.
Right. So my current work is that once I left the auto repair industry, and I didn't totally leave it, I still work as a consultant. But as far as working as a job for an employer, my current work is about how to help people specifically to turn their life around. And even if you haven't really screwed up, we all have some stuff that we have some regrets, we have some guilt, we have some things that we need to get over. So that's one of my principles, is to acknowledge and heal your dark side, that shadow side that we all have, and and then to work to focus on becoming our authentic self, because my deep belief system is that we are innately divine. We are not innately evil. So
right.
We are to become our authentic, go more back to our soul and get more away from our ego. And we're actually merging the two of them and becoming what I call our authentic self.
That is so true, and it's amazing because you were talking about focus, and I think that's a lot of the problem. Sometimes we don't focus, we lose our focus, and that's what often get us in trouble. And that DNA, I call it DNA that you talked about, divine natural ability. I feel like you feel, Les, we're all born with that. I call it the DNA, and I don't mean like our bloodline DNA. I call it my divine natural ability, my God-given ability to be able to utilize what God has given me. And then we, like you say, we go into fear mode. And I have these elements that I call vision, hope, faith, knowledge, and action, because a lot of times we can have all the knowledge in the world, but if we don't take any action, it's not going to help us. And we fear sometimes on the economy and what's happening now. And I had some conversations today on Facebook about some of these issues, because sometimes we think because it's an economic crisis, or who's in the presidential office, or who's doing this, that it impacts our lives significantly, where I feel, from my perspective, that we need to go inside of ourselves and look at internally as opposed to looking more at the external. Of course, the external things are relative in our lives, and they do affect us. However, I believe that we make our major significant path in life through taking personal responsibility for ourselves and going inward, looking within to see how we can come out okay and not have to struggle in life, like you were talking about the struggles in life. And I know you have some interesting information about how we can move beyond that and some steps we can take to break through, because that's why we have Aim to Purpose. We want people to break through these fears so that they can live their best life. So when we come back from a commercial break, we want to discuss some of those breakthroughs that I know you know about and you've talked about. So we'll take a break and we'll be right back and we'll talk about some of those.
Hey folks, it's Ken here. If you or someone you know around the world has a small business, organization, or foundation you'd like to share with the Aim to Purpose audience, showcase it here on our segment of the show called Small Business Monday. The opportunities for people around the world to browse, buy, and use your products and services are endless. We pre-screen all businesses, organizations, and foundations for legitimacy, but because this is a free community service brought to our audience, it's at no cost to you as well. You heard it right. It's absolutely free and you don't have to pay 1 penny. How do you like that? You just come on down to the studio and tell the story of your business, organization, or foundation and give it the praises and accolades you know it deserves. If you're in another part of the state or country, or if you're in another part of the world, you can easily call in or Skype in and do the same. So what are you waiting for? Contact the show's publicist, Shamika Brown, at www.divinebrownmedia.com. She can also be contacted at 1-818-533-8463. Or contact Louise Hicks at www.louisehicks.biz. She can also be contacted at 1-562-310-1495. Allow yourself to be seen by the global masses and allow your business to shine and grow because of the global masses. It's Small Business Monday, courtesy of Aim to Purpose, the radio show.
Okay, we're back. And today on Aim to Purpose, the radio show, we're talking to our special guest, Les Schmidt, all the way from Pennsylvania, and we are live here in Hollywood, California. And our topic today is how to live your most amazing life. And before we went to the break, Les, we were talking about those breakthroughs that you share with your, we know you are a speaker, you are a life coach, and we were talking about sharing some of those breakthroughs that you share with your participants. But before we get to that, I had mentioned about the fear factor that you talked about. Now, has that ever affected you, the fact that based on what we're going through now, some people have lost their jobs and they don't know which way to turn, they don't know what to do? What advice would you give someone based on this economy? Should we just freeze up and fear that we don't have a job, or do we go out and use something that you talked about earlier? We create our own thoughts and how we can create our own destiny.
Yeah, Louise, you look around at what's going on, it can be kind of scary, but there's actually what I believe in my studies of what's really going on in the universe, that there's a cleansing process taking place on the earth today. So we're seeing a lot of weather stuff. We're seeing a lot of stuff that's happening in other countries, and just a lot of stuff, and especially the media, of course, today does such a great job of getting it in our face.
They're perfectionists at it.
You can say that again, Les, about the media, because I talked, that was the other thing. The media, mass media, hypes up everything and get people all emotionally upset about this and that and the other. And life should be routine. So go ahead about the cleansing process, because I'm in total alignment with you on that. I believe that too. There is a cleansing going on.
Well, when I look at what you're doing with your show, with your book, with your work, and so many other people that I'm coming in contact, there's a mass movement today towards people becoming self-sufficient, becoming light workers. Every one of us, we're here to be a light to the world, and we totally have to actually. The solution is in the problem. The challenges that we have are in our life for a purpose. They're to direct us to, these are the things that we need to pay attention to heal at our soul level, and to grow and develop our soul and become our authentic self. And as we do that, our life will come together in magical ways. And as you were on my teleseminar series, which is the focus is on how to do work that's authentic to your soul, that's genuine, that's natural to you, and to make a good living, and really prosper in doing that. And that by following the things that you bring out on your show, programs like I have and other people have who've been down that road, who've been through some really tough stuff, made some bad decisions, whatever, and have figured out, how to make all this work. So no, the stuff that's going on in the world today doesn't really scare me, because I believe I understand the process, and I think what's coming is really, really good. And we just need to be part of that process of bringing the good news to the front.
And to the masses. And that's
and
so
masses,
vital that we harmonize together and show love for one another. And that's why I believe, like you said, we are on a mission to help the masses to understand, because of the delusion, the illusion, the confusion, the misunderstandings. It's so much of that going on. And I believe, this is my perspective, that it's by design to keep the masses devouring each other. And it's so sad. So with us doing these type of programs and shows and helping people to set goals and strategies to understand, like I've always said, your power lies within you. We have to let it loose, and we need to continue to do that and set up goals and set up strategies. And I recall when I was growing up, my parents always taught us to take the word can't out of your vocabulary, even though I wasn't with in a so-called quote-unquote the intact family, so to speak, because my parents were divorced at an early age, however, at my early age. But I did not allow that to define who I am or me. I knew that I had to take personal responsibility for my own life as I grew older, even though I made mistakes. But we take those as learning experiences. And this mass movement you're talking about, it's about teaching us self-reliance, because we can't depend on the government to take care of us. So right. Talk some more about that part, the self-reliance part, because I know that is so vital for us to do in order to take control of our own life. And this word you talked about earlier, FREEDOM, freedom.
Yeah. You know what, Louise and Ken and everyone listening in, to me, that freedom word is the ultimate. The money, the abundance is kind of a side blessing. It's really about the personal and individual freedom, and that's up to us. That's not something that we, as you say, want to rely on anyone else, including the government, for. It's totally up to us. And first of all, I want to say I applaud what you're doing. What you're doing, what I'm doing, and so many others are doing. We're offsetting all that negative stuff that the media is putting out there through the internet, through shows like what you're doing. Unfortunately, we have the internet. We have the ability to be able to reach the masses, and it's a huge community that we're developing today. The bad guys are losing the battle. The good is winning out, just like it's meant to be.
Did y'all hear that? The big guys are losing the battle. I love that. The big guys are losing the battle, and I am in alignment with that. because we didn't just connect by chance. We connected with you about a year or two ago or whatever, and that was by DNA, divine natural ability, and that divine intervention. And what we're doing, you said something really I'd like to kind of hone in on. We're offsetting the negative. And that's what we should be doing, because it's too much confusion and delusion. And people are believing everything sometimes. Some people, not everybody, anything they hear on the news, the media, the mass media, a lot of people are believing this hyped up stuff. And it's really about changing our mindset to be the people that we were born to be, and using those gifts and talents to hone our skills. And like what you said earlier, helping each other to move forward in life and to get the best out of our life, to live free. And that's how we should be. And teaching our children, that is so vital. And you talked about you have these daughters, and I know you had a tragedy in your life that made a significant impact. Share a little bit about that and how that impacted your life with your children.
Are you referencing my youngest daughter?
Yes.
Who died? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually, it wasn't that long ago, just a few years ago. I was sitting at my desk in the auto repair shop that I managed, and I got a call from my youngest daughter, Heather, and I knew that she was struggling with addiction, and she was in complete and total denial. When I would talk to her about it, she would just absolutely deny it, make excuses, and you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Yes, because I had that with my son David. He's still alive at 33 today, but he lives that street life.
Wow. Well, fortunately, he's still alive.
Yes.
Well, little did I know, and I'm busy. I'm there at my desk. She called me on my cell, and I'm driving home about 5-6 hours later, and my wife calls me, and that she's not the mom of my daughter. And she told me that Heather had died. And it was just a shock, because I had just talked to her earlier in that day, but she had overdosed from prescription drugs. And at that point, I knew it was time for me to move on from a job and to really, get my work out to the world and help as many people as I can to be their personal best and live their best lives.
So you went from doing what you were paid to do on your job or company to doing what your calling was, or your gift, based on this particular tragedy. And I'm sorry to hear that, but it just goes to show you that, not to get too far off topic, but this just goes to show you that no matter whether it's street drugs or if it's the legal prescription drugs, many people that use them will be in denial, because they do alter the mind to do something that is contrary to your authentic self, as you describe. And until I guess we really go in and get the information out to people through programs such as yours, or Aim to Purpose, or with myself doing the many articles that I've produced and put out there on Facebook. All of us have an opportunity to learn information on how to become your best self, turning to whatever the reason that people turn to certain drugs. They have to know that there is another way, and people have to go within. There's no other path for you to go but to start taking those steps inward, the very place that many people are afraid to go.
And that's true. They are afraid to go because they want to see everything from an external driven position, and that's not the case. It has to start from within us. And you made an important point about us being a light to the world. And we are, and we need to continue to illuminate that light, because we're touching lives globally.
Yeah.
And that is so important. And as long as we keep going internally inside of ourselves and using that GPS system, and when I say GPS system, I'm talking about my God power system, because I feel that I'm empowered every day. When I wake up, I have a renewed mind, and I'm empowered through my GPS system, that God power system that I have, that keeps me going every day and lets me know that I'm on a mission here, and I need to continue this mission and touch lives. And by the same token, people are touching my life. And it's sad that you and I had a tragedy in our life. You lost your daughter. I haven't lost my son. He's still here. However, he's living a non-productive life because he had cancer at 14. He's now 33. So it's up to him now to take some personal responsibility, because that was over 10 years ago. But it's all about his mindset and the drugs. So unfortunately, a sad tragedy in our lives can help us to get on track or get back on track if we're off track. And that's what happened to you and I both, because I know my tragedy with my son, I was in my 40s then, and here I am 63, and I'm living my dream. I'm living my passion. And something else, Les, let's talk about a little bit, because we are talking about how to live your most amazing life. Some people think by the time they get to be my age, and I'm 63, that they're too old to do anything. I remember I was at a little event at a fair, and I was speaking with this one lady who's younger than I am. I think she might have been in her mid to late 50s, and she felt that 60s was old. And it was like, I'm done. I'm done with life.
That's the notion. I guess here in America, the notion is that once you get beyond 50 and 60, life is over as we know it. But life can just get started for some people. It's never too late. Until you take your last breath here in this life, it's never too late to start down that path to bringing yourself out of that dark place and going to that lighter place, or going to the lighter, being your authentic self, or being aimed to your purpose. It's never too late, ever.
So what do you think about that? These people who have given up on life because they can't. How can you live your most amazing life if you think you're too old to do anything?
I'm very glad you brought that up. I turned 73 a week and a half ago.
Happy belated birthday.
Yeah, when I said I retired, when my daughter Heather died, I made the decision. I didn't leave right away. I made that decision, and I gave a long notice to my employer, and started making my plans. And not because I could afford to do that, but because of my past lifestyle. I'm
Right.
still paying for that. But anyway, so I didn't leave until I was past 70 to start my new career. And I still have to make a living. I still have to, I can't depend on, any retirement income. So, but I have more projects. I'm involved in more projects today than I ever have been in my entire life.
There you go.
And I can pretty much do whatever I choose to do. That's another part of our programming and our conditioning.
Yep.
We've been programmed this way, that at this age you're going to start feeling this. At this age you're going to lose this capacity.
Right.
And right on and on down the line. Untrue. I listened to a seminar, a speech. I think it was yesterday. Barbara Marx Hubbard. I don't know if you've heard that name. 84 years old. She still is putting out these programs and working on these huge projects at 84.
Oh,
and
yeah.
When you listen to her, she is just so vibrant and full of energy.
Oh, yeah.
And look at Joan Rivers. I mean, unfortunately, we lost a legend. But this lady was booked for all of these events, and she's 81 years old.
81, yeah.
And she was still going strong, vibrant. So we got to get off this notion and get back to becoming vibrant people again, utilizing these talents and skills and gifts, mentoring others to understand, because these young people are our future. They're going to take over. And if they see us sluggish and feeling we're run down, we can't do anything, we're old, what do we expect from them?
Right. I turned 40 a couple of months back in June, and I feel great, but I know that many 40-year-olds they've either had hip replacements, they've had knee replacements, they're cancer prone or diabetic prone, or and again, like you said, it's the ongoing programming of all media, not just television, whether it's books, magazines, other radio mediums. So the programming is still there, and when children see someone of a certain age, like my mom just said, that's slow and sluggish and have no vibrancy about themselves, no spunk, if you will, then they're going to think that that's the way to go. They're going to be sluggish. They're going to follow that same pattern, and generation after generation, the pattern continues. The pattern can be reversed to where you can look at people that are successful, look at people that have what you desire to have in life, and follow that pattern. People that are healthy, people that are have a thinking capacity of being healthy, of being following their passions of what they want to do in life, and following those trends to be their authentic self, as you would describe.
And I applaud you, Les, at 73. Look what you're doing. And you're not even thinking about slowing down. You say you have all these projects, and when we come back, we're going to take a commercial break, if you don't mind, and we're going to come back and we want to talk about some of these projects you got going, and talk about this, give us some pointers, some tips, some tools on how to break through and feel good and move forward and live that most amazing life.
And regain your freedom.
There you go.
Regain your freedom, as we all are entitled to. So with that said, we will be right back.
This edition of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, is brought to you by L. Hicks Consulting Services. When you want the best in business coaching, life coaching, or perhaps your organization, business, or company is in need of a dynamic speaker for an upcoming workshop or seminar, contact Louise Hicks for L. Hicks Consulting Services at 1-562-310-1495. From anywhere around the world, that's 1-562-310-1495. For more information about Louise Hicks and her consulting services, visit her website at www.louisehicks.biz. Again, that's www.louisehicks.biz. Or call 1-562-310-1495. L. Hicks Consulting Services, where professionalism is top priority.
We're back, and we're talking to our special guest today, Les Schmidt, all the way from Pennsylvania, where we are live here in Hollywood, California, and we are talking about how to live your most amazing life. Now, Les, give us that number one, what's the most significant thing we can do to break through, to live our most amazing life?
And regain that freedom.
Right, that freedom.
Right. Well, I really think that the number one thing is to take action. We talked about it a little bit. We touched on it, how due to fear or whatever the reluctance is, that we tend to procrastinate, wait for the right time to do something. But I think taking action, and there is no wrong action. I'm either going to get the results that I want, or I'm going to learn from it so that I can make an adjustment and go ahead and get the results that I want. So I think taking action, I would put out there as the number one that most people don't do, that is going to get you, the life that you truly dream of.
So true.
Yeah, I was one of those people that was, afraid to take that next step forward into something better than what I may have been doing previously. Afraid to make the errors, or just moving forward and taking whatever comes while you're on that path, because there's 24 hours in a day, and every second of that day is the right time to get started doing something towards whatever your passion or goal in life is. There's never a right or wrong time, or there's never a wrong time. Every time is the right time. Or you just start doing something now, because all we have is now, not tomorrow, not yesterday, but now.
So true. That's all we have is now to get that freedom. And those projects, I know this time just goes by so fast, and we're going to wrap it up in a little bit here. But Les, we want you to give us some information about how anyone can contact you in order to discuss these things with you, all of these, the action they need to take and some of the steps to take with breakthroughs, because we know there's a lot more that we won't be able to get into in 1 hour. However, share with the listeners how to get in touch with you.
Sure. Well, my assistant is currently working on a new website for me that's going to bring forth my program, How to Find Your Most Amazing Life, which includes an ebook that takes excerpts from my story, from my memoir, and the teaching points of what I learned from those experiences. And when I look back on it, what got me out of that, and what got me into being able to have, the life that I have today. And along with that, I think the best service that I can be to people directly right now is to be able to work with them one-on-one. So I have a program where you fill out a form, I send you a form, and just filling out that form is an excellent exercise in helping you to figure out where you are, where you want to be. And then I analyze that form. We get on the phone for an hour, and I record our conversation, and I help you put together a plan to go from, to get to where you want to be and to have that life of freedom.
Great. Now, how do they get that form?
I think right now, until my assistant gets that website set up, and it's going to be yourmostamazing.life.com. But just to email me at les@leschmidt.com and mention that you heard about me on the Aim to Purpose show, and I will have some special bonuses for anyone who mentions Aim to Purpose, Louise and Kenan.
And that's www.leschmidt.com. That's LESSCHMIDT. www.leschmidt.com.
You got it.
Okay, sounds good to me. Now, did you want to say something else, Les? Because we're going to ask you for some final thoughts before we wrap it up here in a few minutes. So why don't you give us some final thoughts? So how the listeners can get a hold of you until your website is up, running.
Yeah. Well, that website that Kenan just mentioned is up. You can contact me through there, and there's a lot of good stuff on there. So that would be a good place to start. But if someone wants to contact me directly, if what I'm saying and what you've heard today resonates, and you think you'd like to even just have a conversation with me, you can reach me directly at my email at les@leschmidt.com. That's my email. And in terms of final thoughts, Louise, I think what I look around, and what really moved me is I see people hurting, struggling, and I see the potential that every single person has. And I want everyone to realize their potential and be able to create that most amazing life that I talk about so much. And what I want to say is, no matter, you're not too old, you're not too young, you're not too rich or poor. Even if your health is a challenge, no matter where you're at, no matter what you've done or failed to do, you can become your personal best and live the life of your dreams.
I agree with that totally. You can, definitely. So we're going to say thank you for joining us today. You've given us some great information to think about, and remember, everyone, that the most important thing you need to do is take some action. You have vision, hope, faith, the knowledge, but if you take no action, you're not going anywhere. You're going to be in a circular moment of going nowhere.
Yeah.
So be sure to use that action to
Action.
get that freedom that you're looking for in life. And Les, you've been a dynamic guest today, and we really appreciate you Skyping in with us from Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. And
Thank you. It's been a great pleasure. I've really enjoyed being on and connecting with you two again.
oh yeah, it's always fun to talk to you, and action is definitely the main thing that we do. Everything in the universe is in motion, so we can't stand still and think things are going to come to us without us going to it as well. Everything is action and reaction, motion and emotion. So everything in the universe is can revolve and evolve around you, but you have to take some action steps according to whatever your calling or passion is, and be aimed to your purpose and be your authentic self. And so on that note, I want to thank Les Schmidt once again for being our special guest on Aim to Purpose, the radio show. And as my mom always says in closing,
Until next week, have a great weekend, and remember, your power lies within you. Let it loose.
and we will see you next week.